fintech company in Nigeria is raising money again. Bankly, I believe, is the name of this particular fintech company. Their seed funding round, $2 million. I'm trying to keep track of all the fintech raising funding news that's been coming out of Nigeria, from the Flutter Waves to Kuda and everyone else. So, Fisayo, what's your take on the Bankly raise, what the amount of money they've raised, and I guess what it means for the ecosystem? Is it a wave? Is this a wave that we're seeing?
Yes, of course, it is a win. Every capital raise in the ecosystem is a win, not just for the company, but also for every other company in the ecosystem. It's a mark of confidence. It's a sign of confidence in the Nigeria's tech entrepreneurship ecosystem. Of course, it's also a mark of confidence on the founders and, of course, on the business they've built. But of course, generally means that yes, investors have confidence in Nigeria, in the macroeconomic environment. In spite of the macroeconomic environment, right? They have confidence in the ability of Nigerian entrepreneurs to continue to execute, continue to build, great products, irrespective of a difficult environment, and also to be able to, support, people using technology. And I think that's the biggest thing. For me, I think the Bankly news specifically was exciting because we've seen Kuda, we've seen Flutterwave, we've seen Paystack. Those ones are, to a large extent, they can be seen as products that middle-class people use, people that have, cards, that have smartphones, that pay online, all of that kind of thing. But Bankly, on the other hand, is targeting a different set of people, a different vertical, right? And I think it's great to see that, yes, they get support as well. And I think that's exciting for everybody involved.
Bankly was formed in 2018, and now here we are we're barely into 2021, so it's not 3 years. They're just 2 years old, and here they are raising $2 million. How do you assess the amount of time that's passed in just 2 years, being able to convince investors to raise $2 million? Is that too soon, or how do you assess the time frame?
Well, of course, timing is not the age of a company is not a determinant of how much they can raise, right? Especially within the tech world, right? People have raised $300 million without a product, right? And I've seen that happen at least in the US. So the length or the number of years of existence is never a metric to look at in determining how much to raise. There are key things that are important. The traction that the company has had. I spoke to Tommy in the early days, when the company is just starting. Of course, I'm sure they probably struggle to raise as well. But once they figured out the model properly, once Rotus, they have 15,000 agents already. 15,000, that's not small, that's right? Awesome. It's taking a lot of banks, maybe years to reach those numbers, right? So it means that this company is doing, or the founders and the team specifically, they're doing something, very well. It means that they're growing really fast. Right. So if you're growing really fast, it's not a matter of how long you've been doing it. It's about how much you've achieved within a short period of time. And the time is how much, to a large extent, you should be able to raise. And I think that's what is driving them. For me, if I see a company that is growing, has grown to 15,000 agents in less than 2 years, and I've seen a company that has been doing this thing for, let's say, 10 years and has not reached even 15,000 agents, I won't give the person that has done it 10 years, $2 million. I'll probably give the 2-year-old guy 15 million if I think that they are growing faster, right? So, and of course, when I give them more money, I expect faster growth. So, I like the excitement around capital raises, but to a large extent, right? The founders are, yes, they announced their raise, but they have to justify that investment by ensuring that they continue to grow and by ensuring that they continue to do what they've been doing that investors saw in them in the first place. So it's not just about the excitement of capital raise, it's also about the responsibility that the capital raise brings to them. And I think that the founders have to be able to handle it.
I'm a bit anxious, Fisayo, about all these raise announcements. We've been hearing for the past few weeks, right? I thought, I mean, for businesses, I thought the safer thing to do is just manage your raise, raise small, especially for startups. Your raise has to be minimized at the onset, and then you can now increase it as you ramp up. For instance, like the pay stacks and the likes.
Yeah. I mean, different companies have different strategies, and I think that's the most important thing, right? Different companies have different strategies. Okay, I was here a couple of weeks ago when we talked about Kuda, right? Kuda raised $10 million in December, raised $25 million in March, right, or even February, right? So that's within a very short period of time, right? And of course, for Bankly, I remember, I think it was formed at an Action Venture Lab or something like that. They've had support from Action. They've built these things on the ground. They've gone and they've actually done the work. And I think that's the most important thing, right? They've done the work, right? Now they feel that yes, they can raise a $2 million round and then be able to, further execute. Because what I like about Bankly's model is that it's not just about agency banking, it's also about focusing on what the bottom of the pyramid use agency banking for, right? And enabling those, right? So for me, I think that's a very difficult problem to solve. It means that you're building a financial product for my grandmother that doesn't know how to use a smartphone, that has to call someone to help dial a number, right? That's a very difficult segment to serve and requires a lot of money to serve them, right? Paystack, Flutterwave can give you a code and just self on board, put your checkouts on your website. But these people don't have websites. They don't even know how to use a phone. Right? So to build a product for that segment of people is hard and difficult, right? So that's why you have to build agent network across places to onboard agents. Agents are not just people. You mean that you find people that are trustworthy in their environment. That's people that have basic understanding of how to use a device. It's a difficult problem to solve. And I think that's what Bankly is solving. And for you to be able to grow your agent network to that amount, I'm sure they have some transaction numbers that are incredible as well. They have some, transaction processed, across these agent networks. I think that's a lot of work that they put in. So raising money at this time, to further deepen that, I don't think it's too soon. I don't think it's too soon at all.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I want to quickly hop on this news of Shoprite Holding Company launching a mobile service, Connect, which is KNECT. Well, what does it say about the South African economy that Shoprite is a retailer, is able to, and I think they are piggybacking off of existing infrastructure that belongs to MTN or so in South Africa. But come on, it's a retailer that sells supermarket items. They're launching a mobile network with airtime and data and so on for people to use phones. So what do you make of that?
I think to a large extent, right? As a business, you probably do everything you want to do. Okay, so it's the same question I'll ask you. Why is Amazon doing web services? The e-commerce platform, right? In fact, they started selling books. Now they sell everything. They're in the marketplace. Now they have AWS, that is probably one of the biggest cloud infrastructure that's being used by startups all over the world. Right. So I think every business will do everything they believe they can do to ensure that they get, they extract more value, from their customers. So if they think that yes, building a mobile network on top of the MTN infrastructure, Airtel infrastructure, is the next step for them to take. I think that's what it is. So so what does that mean for their business? What does that mean for their existing strategy? Does that distract them from their core business, which is retail and selling goods and services? Yeah, maybe not, right? But of course, we also know that they are already trying to close out their interest in Nigeria already, right? Including Nigeria and countries like Nigeria, they're selling their business off in Nigeria. So maybe that will help them focus their attention rather than international expansion, but on a new business line, right? So that's what it is, right? So for me, I don't think it's. You do anything you have to do to ensure that yes, you build a resilient business, or you build a fully diversified business. Because if for instance, consumer biases heat against a certain product, right? Maybe a telco service will probably grow irrespective of how bad the economic situation is for consumers across FMCG lines. Maybe telco might survive at those times. So I think those are ways that management really think about, okay, how do we become that essential service to all of our customers every time, right? And I think that's an important thing that they're building out.
It'd be interesting to see if they plug that into their business model, their existing business model, to maybe form an incentive for customers or something like that, with all those reward services. Now, Inka says on WhatsApp, my grandparents once thought Union Bank, Savannah Bank, and corporate banks were the only banks in Nigeria, man. It wasn't even easy convincing my mom that GT Bank was a bank then. Thank you, Inka, for that throwback. And messages come to 0809 444 0981. We have 2 minutes to go. When Fisayo mentioned Amazon, Rotus, I just thought about the story I saw on Instagram on Jeff Bezos' handle, where he talked about them testing their delivery buses in Europe and some other countries and some other continents.
Expansion is an incredible thing. Well, one of the things about expansion, though, is the regulatory environment, the business environment that allows you to do all these other things. The South African economy allows for a Shoprite that if you say Shoprite to a Nigerian or an African, you think of going to go and buy supermarket items. But now they are going into phones. You have to think about how long it's taking for the payment service bank licenses to be given out here, what's been taking so long, and for other telcos to be able to compete and fintech companies to be able to compete with banks or financial services. So
yesterday.
Yeah, there's also an issue of regulatory environment and business environment that allows for them to do that. So it's quite interesting, I have to say.
Rotus, guess what else is interesting? The Minister of Information yesterday mentioned that ease of doing business in Nigeria is getting better. So
yeah, that's Lai Mohammed, Abi. Lai Mohammed, yeah.
We're out of time, though. Thank you, Fisayo. We always appreciate you on the show. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Have a lovely day.
I refuse to talk about government, so it's fine.
You don't want to touch it, except it's Trump. Oh, by the way, Trump is about to launch a new social media.
Thank you for mentioning that.
I don't know why. It's a serious news, which is why we're laughing.
Fisayo will join.
Of course.
All right, take care.